Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to explore solving a problem together, and then you'll work on your own. I'm not going to tell you what type of problem this is. We're going to go ahead and read it and try to figure it out. So go ahead and read that problem. Take a moment. Think to yourself, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Normally, I wouldn't read it to you. We would discuss it, but I will read it to you today since you are not here with me. Tina has a large bookshelf with 8 shelves, and that is a period there. She placed 14 books on each shelf. How many books does she have in all? Hmm. Well, there are some important parts of our story that we need to look at so we know if we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Adding, we join things together. Subtracting, we take away, we compare, we find the missing part. Multiplication, we have groups of objects and we try to find the total. And in division, we have the total objects and we try to find either the groups or the size of the group. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we know. Tina has a large bookshelf with 8 shelves. That's important. So I'm picturing her 8 shelves on her bookshelf. She placed 14 books on each shelf. So I'm thinking 14, 14, 14, 14, 8 different times. Our unknown, or what we do not know, we're solving for, is how many books does she have in all? This in all really helps me figure this out. Well, I know that I'm not adding, putting things together. I know that I'm not subtracting here. I'm either multiplying or dividing. So let's use our structure of multiplication to help us figure out which one of those it is. So I'm going to ask, what are our groups here? We're going to name them. Not the number, what are they? We really want to go back into the story and understand. If you said they're shelves, you're right. So I'm just going to write that there. They're shelves. Do we know the size of each group? What do you think? If you said yes, we do know the size. We know how many books are on each shelf. Do we know the total objects? What are the total objects? What are we trying to find? If you said books, I'm going to write in all, meaning total, you are correct. So let's go back up to our story problem and see if we can take those numbers and place them in our structure of multiplication. So I know my groups are shelves. So I'm going to go back up here and we said we have 8 shelves. All right, and the size of the group is how many books? Well, she placed 14 books on each shelf. So I'm going to put 14 there. And how many books does she have in all? That is our unknown. We do not know. So it looks to me like we're solving a multiplication problem. Okay. To solve this multiplication problem, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and pause the video and draw an array that matches the story. It can be an unmarked array or an open array. So pause and do that. Okay. I am going to make an 8 by 14 array. And I know 8 is smaller than 14. So here's our 8 by 14 array. I don't know 8 by 14 offhand, but I know that we could probably decompose or break apart one of those numbers and figure out how to solve it. So I'm looking at the 8. I could break the 8 into 4 and 4, but I'm not really sure 4 times 14 at this point. I've got an idea. If I know 8 times 7, I can break the 14 up into 7 and 7. I have another idea. Since I like to multiply by 10, I'm going to break this number apart by place value. So I'm going to take my 14 and I'm going to break it up into the 10 and the 4. So I'm going to put the 10 here and the 4 here. Now to show 10 is a much larger number than 4, there we go. So now we have two smaller arrays inside our larger array. Let me start putting an equation down for this. We took our 8 times our 14 and we broke it into, let's go ahead and figure those out. I want you to pause the video for a moment. Write the dimensions of this smaller array inside the array. Write the dimensions of this smaller array inside the array. Go ahead and pause. Okay, if you said this was an 8 by 10 array, you are correct. Our side dimensions are 8. Our top dimensions are 10. And here, this isn't labeled, but I know that this line right here is the same length as this line and the same as this. So that's going to be 8 also. And it's 8 by 4. So what we've done so far is we've taken 8 times 14. We've broken it down or decomposed it into 8 times 10 plus 8 times 4. Now we need to go ahead and start solving. 8 times 10. What is it, everybody? Go ahead and say it. If you said 80, you are correct. 8 times 4, think. What is it? If you're not sure, could you take 8 times 2 and another 8 times 2? So 8 times 2 is 16, and another 8 times 2 is 16, if that helps you think about it. So we come up with a 32. So we have 80 plus 32. All right, I always love to call on kids to hear their addition strategies, but since I can't call on anybody today, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little work over here on my addition. So I'm going to add 80 plus 30 together first, because there's my 80, there's my 30. And I'm thinking to myself, I know 80 plus 20 is 100, but I need 10 more. So that would be 110. And I know 0 plus 2 is 2, right? What is 110 plus 2? Go ahead and say it out loud. If you said it is 112, you are correct. I always ask my students, is it okay to have the answer on this side of the equal sign? And we shake our heads and we say, yep, sure is. And the reason is that the equal sign means the same value as. 112 is the same value as 80 plus 32. So let's go back up. We're not quite done. Our work looks great, but we need to answer our story question. So Tina has a large bookshelf with 8 shelves. She placed 14 books on each shelf. How many books does she have in all? Please go ahead and pause and write your complete sentence answer. We'll see if it's similar to mine. All right. I'm going to write Tina has 112 books in all. Do you see how I use those words right from the question? How many books does she have in all? Tina has 112 books in all. All right. Now that we've gone through reviewing using arrays to multiply, you're going to get the chance to do some work on your own.